Hello everyone, this is Michael with the general reading for Sagittarius Sun, Moon, and Rising for June 2019. I do hope that this video finds you all well. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen for you guys because this is actually going to be a really interesting time. We are going to be in your opposite sign, Gemini, for this season. We have quite a few planets passing through there. So that might actually add quite a bit of tension, but it has a lot of there's a lot of potential here for growth for Sagittarius this month. Before we get too far into that though, I do just want to announce really quickly that I am actually going to start doing giveaways on this channel. The first one is going to be for 10,000 subscribers, and I'll be doing that as the subscriber count climbs. I think it's just a really nice way to show my gratitude and express my appreciation for everyone. The winners of that giveaway will have their choice between a free reading or a free distance Reiki session. You can definitely follow me on my other social media as well if you aren't already. That way you won't miss out on the giveaway. I have a Facebook page and Instagram where I post pick-a-card spreads and general collective cards. And of course, hit subscribe on my channel as well, and definitely like these videos. It helps with the YouTube algorithm to make this channel grow. Actually sharing your experiences in the comments has been the most exciting part about this channel to me, because it's really allowed these videos to become a platform for people to share their experiences. We know we're not alone. We know we're all connected. We're going through these cycles and rhythms together. And I'm really grateful for the people who have actually opened up and shared some of what they're going through, and even the people commenting on that and kind of providing support. It's really beautiful to see, and it's beautiful to be part of. And I love this YouTube tarot community so much. It's an amazing online community. Knock on wood. I hope it doesn't it doesn't turn anytime soon. But yeah, I wanted to make those quick announcements. Of course, all the information for personal readings, distance Reiki sessions, and donations, all of that is in the description box down below as well. And I just have a lot of other links there. I do also have a blog post that will feature a lot of the astrological information I'm going to be referencing. It's much more extensive in the blog, so if that's something you're interested in, especially if you're trying to get a sense of dates, that would be a good place to look. Anyways, before we begin, I do also just want to disclaim that these are general readings, meaning not all the messages that come forward are going to be meant for you. It's up to your own discretion and intuition to figure out what is in resonance for you and what should be left behind for someone else. Don't get too caught up on the gender of the cards, and don't get too caught up on the astrology of the cards either. It's all just the way that the energy is expressing itself now. It's more the impression of that energy. So yeah, let's kind of dive into the astrological forecast for you guys, because we do have quite a bit of stuff happening. We have the new moon in Gemini on June 3rd, and that is in your opposite sign, of course. That's going to be a time to really get to know different parts of ourselves, I'm feeling like, because Gemini is ultimately it's the twins, but really it's like 100 different personalities in one. Gemini is the most multifaceted sign of the entire zodiac, and they're going to show you different parts of yourself that you didn't even know existed. So I feel like that new moon is going to be a really good way to express these new parts of yourself, or parts you didn't even know were there. And also to reach out to new people, especially in a romantic context, actually, because we do have Venus and Pluto sextiling on June 3rd as well. And that's going to really shake up our love life. It's really going to shake up our partnerships, or the way that we approach our partnerships. That's regardless of whether you are in a relationship or you are single or you're looking. It doesn't really matter, because partnerships can be more than romantic. It could also be with close friends, it could be business partners, just anyone that you're working very closely with and sharing your life with. There could be a shakeup there. But it feels like in a positive way, and it feels like for a lot of people that could even come in the form of a new person, or kind of an unexpected person. Maybe it's someone you already know, but you just didn't think you were really going to have that sort of connection with them. That is a possibility as well. I do know that the sun is actually going to be opposing your sign, or I'm sorry, the sun on June 10th is going to be opposing Jupiter in your sign, Sagittarius, which is currently retrograde. So I feel like there might be a need to kind of go and step out of the ego, but that's going to manifest as kind of overinflated egos. When things oppose Jupiter, it's there's kind of the risk of running something to the excess, and with the sun, which represents the ego, the vitality, there's a risk of being too much or doing too much with ego. So that is something to be mindful of, especially with it being in kind of your sign with your ruling planet. There could also be, yeah, just things with ego, but it could also be involving seeking higher wisdom, travel, getting out of the day-to-day, essentially. There might be some sort of blockages there as well, so that's just something to be mindful of. And of course, we do have a Sagittarius full moon on June 17th. I think you're really going to like that. Of course, it could certainly stir things up, but I think it's actually a really good time for everyone in the collective, but especially for my Sagittarians, to release things that make them feel stuck. Because Sagittarius is all about freedom. It's all about freeing oneself, freeing yourself from the day-to-day, freeing yourself from the routine, freeing yourself from anything. And it's a good time to let things go that make you feel stuck or imprisoned or disempowered. And you could do this by writing something out and burying it. You could do this by burning something, or burying something, or leaving something in water. I feel like burning it would be very appropriate because it is a fire moon. But really, just any sort of ritual that signifies letting something go will be very, very powerful at this time. Especially if you're using that new moon to kind of attract new people, or to attract new ways of expressing yourself, that's going to be a good time to let go of those blockages. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. I do also know Mercury and Venus are going to be opposing that Jupiter in your sign again. I don't quite remember the dates. I want to say one of them was happening on the 18th. Again, check the blog post, but just know that during kind of the middle of June, there's going to be some issues communicating. There's going to be some issues in your relationship. So even though you might have met someone new, there might be some sort of hiccups along the way, some sort of bumpiness on the road, and that's okay. Just something to be mindful of. As for the big event of the month of June, we do have Neptune going retrograde in Pisces, which is going to happen on the 21st, right on the start of Cancer season. So there's going to be a lot of emotional awakenings, I think, for people when Neptune goes retrograde. Its sneaky, subtle, dreamlike influence actually pulls back. And the way that affects the rest of us is that it's kind of like this lifting of the veil. So it's actually a time to see things very clearly. And sometimes we get some rude awakenings in the process. But once that planet does go retrograde, once Neptune is retrograde, it's much harder to be deceived or to kind of succumb to illusion or delusion. We just have a much clearer picture going forward. And I feel like dreams are also becoming more vivid already. We are kind of in that shadow phase, if I'm not mistaken. And once that actually fully goes in the retrograde phase, dreams will have a much more vivid quality, so pay attention to your dreams. You might be getting messages there. And I actually do feel like intuition is just going to be very clear during that time as well. So all of that's really exciting stuff. And of course, right at the end of the month, we do have Mercury going into Leo on the 27th. That's going to be kind of the start of all the Leo stuff. So some expressiveness, a flair for the dramatic. That might be a good time to start working on something creative. And that is also trining with you as well, being in a fellow fire sign. So lots of exciting energy. I do hope that wasn't overwhelming. I do also feel like, I just want to say, I've been kind of saying this in all the other videos, it feels like 2019 has been absolutely flying by. 2018 for me, in contrast, was like many years in one, and the fact that we're already in June kind of has my head spinning. But whatever. I do feel like time is going to start slowing once that Neptune retrograde begins, and we actually are going to have a Mercury retrograde at the beginning of July. Again, that's more for the July video, but we are going to start feeling that just at the very, very end of June. So I thought I would mention it. So if you feel like things have just been happening really quickly, I do feel like June, especially the end of June and even into July, is going to be a good time to kind of catch your breath, at least for the collective as a whole. We're going to take a look now at your cards and see what actually comes up for you guys specifically. I'm just going to kind of shuffle here and wait for the cards to fall out. What are the messages for Sagittarius? We already have one. What are the messages for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for June 2019? Interesting. One more. What are the messages for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising for June 2019? That's too many. Show me clearly, please. All right, I'll take two. I gotta say, to be honest, it looks like a lot of you have been really going through some heavy stuff coming into June, so this is kind of referencing May. It could potentially be referencing even before that, something you've been kind of working on through May, but it definitely seems like there's been a lot of blockages. We do have this Ace of Pentacles in the reverse kind of showing up in your day-to-day life. The Page of Pentacles and the Well, both in the reverse, in the center of this read, kind of in the emotional sphere. And we do have the Three of Swords upright with the Eight of Swords in the reverse. So I feel like some of you are also kind of moving away from a painful situation, perhaps a breakup, if I'm being honest, especially if that's with an earth sign. But let's start over with this Ace of Pentacles here. We do have, I feel like some of you may have been trying to make some sort of move, either with your house, with where you're living, with your job, or trying to do something to bring more stability into your life. And that ended up not coming through. It ended up not working out. You might have been expecting some sort of offer and it just didn't happen. And it just feels like kind of frustrated. It's like you're just having a hard time getting something started. And this could even be a relationship. This could be kind of bringing stability or commitment into a relationship and something not working out. Perhaps this is even you rejecting it. The energy in this read can always go the other way because it is a general read, so do keep that in mind. But yeah, there's just this sense of something not coming into stability, something not coming into physical form. I do have, with the Well and the Page of Pentacles in the reverse, this is kind of interesting energy. It honestly feels a bit heavy. It does feel like something stagnated. I gotta be honest, when I think of the Well in reverse, I think of stagnant water, something that's just kind of been sitting there for a while. It hasn't been going very well. And to be honest, I think for a lot of you, this does involve an earth sign. So someone who's heavily placed in Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, there might have been some sort of stagnancy there. I do also see this card as a card of study, a card of reflection, a card of learning something. Perhaps this Ace of Pentacles in reverse has something to do with education, actually, as well, or some sort of class or course, and that just not coming through. And that really sucks because it seems like it was something that a lot of you cared about, because this is showing up in the emotional part here. I do feel like there's also kind of this poverty mentality a lot of you are dealing with. If I gotta be honest, it seems like money is a little bit tight. That's kind of your concern right now for some of you coming into June. And of course, with the Three of Swords, it seems like there was a really painful conversation, and it seems like a lot of you were getting out of... I actually feel like this is good, in a way, because it does feel like you were getting out of a situation you felt trapped in. But that doesn't mean that it didn't have some heartache attached to it. It doesn't mean that it didn't hurt. It's like, whenever I see the Eight of Swords, I see that there is this kind of situation where someone feels stuck, but they do have the ability to cut themselves free with the swords. They have these ropes tied around them, but they just don't see this with the blindfold. when it's in reverse, I do see that you are freeing yourself from this, but it's almost like you did cut yourself in the process of cutting yourself free. And that's kind of what this Three of Swords feels like to me. Again, this could actually be a relationship change. Some of you may have had a conflict or even broken up with someone, especially if that person is still kind of learning about the world or still kind of immature or a young earth sign. But yeah, it just feels like this was it feels like this was a kind of a rough ride for you. I gotta be honest. I'm sorry to see that. I am curious to see now what the animal cards have to say about this situation coming into June. I have several cards that actually came out. I'm going to take all of them because I feel like this is important. We do have the hawk, the cosmic egg, and the raccoon, which is kind of an interesting sneaky earth energy. Again, you might be dealing with a sneaky earth sign. But the hawk and the cosmic egg together, you're going to have there's a big shift that's happening for you. I gotta be honest, and this feels spiritual. I don't even think this is necessarily going to be something that presents itself or manifests in the physical. It certainly could, but I feel like most of you are going to be going through this radical mental shift or this paradigm shift, and you might already be doing that already. I feel like with these two energies combined, there is a change that's coming that you don't see right now, but whatever it is that's been happening with all of these blockages, with all of this pain and this weight, this heaviness, there is a change that is coming. So just keep that in mind. I don't feel like you have the full picture yet. Definitely meditate more. Definitely reflect more before you go forward with something, because I feel like with the hawk, there is this change, there is this message that's coming, and it's really going to change the way that you're currently looking at things or looking at your life. So do keep that in mind. With this raccoon, there is also kind of this identity crisis that some of you are having, or perhaps this is someone you're dealing with, someone who's not quite sure how to express themselves or what to show or what to hide. So that is something to keep in mind as well. I am actually getting with this card that some of you are dealing with heartache from the past that you freed yourself from, but it's still holding you back from pursuing new people in the future. And this wasn't even necessarily in May for some of you. This could even be further back. So do keep that in mind. There is a shift coming. There is a change coming. And that is going to require you to open up your perspective, to broaden your perspective here with the hawk and the cosmic egg, which is the crown chakra for those of you who are unfamiliar with this deck. So again, a lot of spiritual downloads I think are going to be happening for a lot of you, which is really interesting, and I think they already started. Let's see what we have coming into the first half of June. I am actually feeling like I should just draw from the top of the deck for this, so that's what we're going to do. This is actually much better. We have the Devil in reverse. You're definitely leaving something that you felt stuck behind, and you're definitely leaving something that was very oppressive. Some of you may also be moving on from some sort of addiction or moving past some sort of addiction. This doesn't even necessarily need to be drugs. This could just be some sort of behavior that doesn't serve you anymore, doesn't serve your highest good, kind of a way, something that depletes your energy. I do feel like you're separating yourself from that. That could actually be a person, especially if this person is heavily placed in Capricorn. But this feels like... This feels good. You're definitely feeling freer by the beginning of June. Whatever it was that you had to move through, you are coming into a place of freedom, but there is this Eight of Cups here that's still showing up at the heart of your read, actually, and there is this need to move on, this need to kind of go off on your journey, to have this enlightenment, climb the mountain, and, you know, sometimes this card... These 8 cups are destroyed or shattered. I know in my other deck, the Wild Unknown deck, these cups are totally shattered, and it's like you have nowhere else to go. You have to go up. You can leave something behind, and it's like in this specific case, this is still here for you. You don't need to let go of these feelings. It's not about letting go of these feelings. It's not about dismissing these feelings. It's about going forward. It's about going on this journey anyway. And this is going to kind of be, this might be a hermetic time for some of you. Some of you may be isolating yourself a little bit. You might be taking a lot of space for yourself, which I think is okay. I do see this Five of Wands, so again, there is actually some conflict that might be happening around you. People might be trying to drag you into this conflict, and I do feel like in your heart, you know you need to just kind of separate yourself from whatever this is, whatever this drama or tension is that is surrounding you. You do kind of need to pull back from it, and that would be very wise for you at this time. I think your heart is still in a pretty tender place for a lot of you. Even though Sagittarius is very, very resilient, I do feel like this might actually even be a physical trip that some of you need to make to kind of distance yourself from the situation. But it's definitely for emotional reasons. And it could very well just be kind of an emotional distance you're taking. Now let's take a peek again at the animal wisdom for the first half of June. Oops. Cards are kind of stumbling here. Let's see. Again, a lot of animal cards are coming out for you. We have the elk and the gazelle. So right now, this tells me that it's really important to be mindful of your surroundings. Elk and gazelle are very attuned to the natural world around them. Elk is even kind of a part of it. They're both kind of extensions of it with their horns. They're almost like trees. I do feel like it's very important for you to connect with nature, to also eat right, eat healthfully, be very natural with what you're doing to your body right now. Gazelle is also very hypersensitive. This is actually kind of a Sagittarian card too. It's a little exotic, fiery, with this alchemical symbol for fire. I do feel like there might be some sort of tension. Gazelle is very aware. It's very hyper-vigilant of its surroundings. It's very sensitive. It's very attuned, but it can border onto the hyper-aware. So it's important that you don't stress yourself out by trying to look out for what's happening next, what's going on, trying to figure out what to do in this drama. It is important for you to distance yourself and to take care of yourself and really keep your nervous system calm. For those of you who don't ground already, I would highly recommend that you at least try doing it for the first half of June. That's just going outside barefoot and letting the negative ions of the earth exchange with your body. That's ionic exchange, and that those negative ions are actually very important for our nervous system. They help keep us calm, and they actually support healthy immune function as well. So if you're feeling a little under the weather, definitely get outside and be barefoot. The problem with modern society is that we have shoes, we have concrete sidewalks, and all of this, it restricts that ionic exchange. It doesn't let it happen. It grounds all that energy. So definitely get out in the grass, get out in the dirt, or you could even just hold on to a tree. Trees are grounded. They do have that grounded charge, so you can also get it there as well. And I am kind of seeing a lot of trees for you. I did mention branches earlier, so for some reason I'm seeing trees. Maybe some of you are going camping or something. But yeah, that's interesting. I'm now going to look at the second half of June. This is going to also be perhaps out into July or even beyond. The way you can look at this last part of this video is this is just kind of where things are currently progressing if they don't change. Let's see what is happening in the second half of June for Sagittarius. Interesting. Okay, interesting. One more. There we go. So this is really interesting. We did have this Page of Swords that came out sideways, like perfectly sideways, not even like slightly tilted one way or the other. So I actually feel like for some of you this is upright, and for others of you this is in reverse. Some of you may be dealing with an air sign who's perhaps a little in and out. This actually does kind of feel like the Gemini season 2, just kind of the energy everyone's going to be adopting. Someone who's a bit flighty. They're very excitable. They have a lot of passion and joy. But this person could also be giving you some trouble. They might be a bit too fickle. They might be a bit too swept up by the excitement of things. And I do feel like some of you may actually be cutting people out. I do see that with this sword here. You know, you may be needing to cut someone out. I do feel like this is really interesting. Again, it feels like for half of you this is upright, and for the other half of you this is in the reverse. So I do feel like someone might actually be sending you some sort of message. You might get kind of a critical job review at the end of June, or you might get some criticism from someone you work with or someone who's part of your day-to-day life. You might just be getting a lot of flack. That is something I am feeling for a few of you, and it's kind of misplaced. I do, I gotta be honest, I do see this tower here. I do feel like there are some walls that are tumbling down. You are being thrown out of your comfort zone. This is showing up in the emotional sector here. But I'm actually getting the sense that this is more of a spiritual tower than a physical tower. Sometimes the tower can represent a falling apart of our physical lives. Again, there is the sense that some of you, there is this cutting, there is this removal that is happening for some of you. But I actually feel like this tower is referring more to a spiritual enlightenment, this divine intervention, this lightning coming, hitting you up here in the crown, and it's throwing away your ego with this mask here, this man being thrown from the tower, from this mask, and it's like once you're thrown from this tower, there's no way back up. This tower isn't destroyed, it's still there, but it's like you can't get back there again. It's like you're not mentally there anymore. So it feels like this change, and it feels like this is what the cosmic egg and the hawk was talking about at the beginning of the reading. This might be kind of foreshadowing what is going to be happening at the end of June or even into July. There is going to be a really big change. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be you bringing your walls down. I feel like there might be some falling out, to be honest. It does, again, feel like there's quite a bit of conflict that's around you, and you might be losing some people, but I actually feel like this is more you losing illusion. And that makes a lot of sense with Neptune going retrograde on the 21st. That could very well be referring to something that's kind of happening in tandem to that shift. And we do have the King of Wands in the reverse as well. I feel like some of you, this could be involving a fire sign or someone who's heavily placed with fire energy, so Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. But the communication is blocked. There's some sort of blockage here. Perhaps this is the person you're cutting out, or maybe they're even cutting you out. This could be someone who is an entrepreneur, someone who owns their own business or is very passionate. They kind of just take charge of everything that they do. They might be a bit controlling, and you're just like, nah, I'm good. I don't need this. I'm done. And maybe that's what this tower is. You're just done with whatever this is. And I feel like you've already been working on freeing yourself, and you're going to kind of be doing that, I think, throughout June as well. Which makes a lot of sense because, again, all of this is happening, all of this stuff in Gemini, it's happening in your opposite sign. So again, I don't want you to be too worried about this, but this is a real opportunity for you to to grow. So don't run away from this. Go inward, go upward, reach for this enlightenment. Don't back away. Don't back away from the mountain. Climb the mountain. And I feel like you'll have a lot of success if you do that, but it is going to be hard for the month of June. I'm not going to lie to you. Don't shoot the messenger, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to be an easy month. I'm not the type of reader who's going to lie and say that you're going to have a good reading or everything's going to be fine, because this is going to take some work. And I feel like as a Sagittarius, you appreciate that because you are you can't help but speak the truth a lot of the time. So I am going to pull one more animal card just to see what the wisdom is there. What is the animal wisdom for Sagittarius? Interesting. Yeah, so we have, again, a lot of animal energy is coming up for you. I feel like these might be spirit animals for some of you, or totems to call on right now. But we have the shark, the stingray, and the tarantula. So with the shark, I do feel like there is this sense of circling around a situation. Someone might be scoping out a situation. This could be you, but I actually wonder if this is someone else. Someone who's kind of watching you. They've been watching you for a while, and now they're coming at you. They're attacking. And it's important, if you're noticing this now at the beginning of June, that you say something or that you do something about it, because you can kind of see the fin above the water. So this is actually some sort of conflict that I think you can largely avoid, or at least mitigate. And I do feel like for some of you, this is also just you circling around someone or something you want, and finding the right time to go for it. And I do see with this stingray, there is a bit of discomfort. There is kind of just this need to be flexible, to go through whatever it is you're going through. There's not honestly a ton you can do. You just have to go through it. Just keep climbing the mountain. Keep going forward. Ride the waves. And this is for the sake of your growth. It's like you either do this now, or you try and delay it, and it happens to you later anyway. There's really no avoiding this situation. So you just kind of got to be direct with that shark energy. If you see something, nip it in the bud. Don't let it progress into something more. And again, with this tarantula, there is kind of a choice that you need to make here. Both stingray and tarantula actually do speak of making a choice, of choosing the old and choosing the new. With tarantula, there is this need to kind of shed or molt, molting something that is no longer serving you. We do have this loss of ego or identity with the Tower card. So I do feel like that is something, there is some shedding that is happening for you, and it might not be comfortable, but it is for the sake of your growth, and it is really powerful. And again, there is kind of this ambush predator thing that's going on that happened with shark. You were scoping out a situation, you're very attuned with these fine hairs with tarantula, and then it strikes. So wait for the perfect time to strike. You'll know when you see it, and that might be what this hawk is trying to say too. Get a higher perspective on the situation and figure out when it is you need to act. These are all the messages I am getting for you now. I am seeing that we're already past the 30-minute mark, so I don't want to go too over. I do hope that this reading was helpful for you guys. Definitely hit like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what's going on for you. You can book personal readings or Reiki sessions, especially if you're going through a lot of changes. Reiki may be something helpful. I have all of my links down below. Otherwise, I will see you all next time. Bye, Sagittarius.